Well, the word disruption is an incredible understatement of what we're facing at the moment.
First, it was the masks, hand sanitizer, and wipes. Then it was the food aisles. In the past few days and weeks, we've seen more and more images like this, and this one.
You don't have to buy so much. Take it easy. Just relax.
Stores have seen a double-digit increase in sales as people react in fear to the coronavirus outbreak. Products like fresh meat, canned seafood, and dried beans have risen substantially in sales.
Every point in the supply chain is at risk.
We have to see purchasing abate. The shelves are going to continue to show out of stocks as long as this demand continues to stay at the levels that it is.
You might not find your favorite brand of imported oatmeal, but you will find breakfast. So we are far from any sort of food shortages, famine, or anything like that.
With the ever-changing response to the coronavirus, can American grocery stores keep up? While the food supply chain varies depending on where a person eats, it always starts with the farmers. Every year, American farmers produce agricultural products worth nearly $400 billion, from eggs produced in New York to beef from Kansas to oranges in Florida. From there, the product moves to ingredient and product manufacturing, to warehouses and distribution centers, and finally to grocery stores. All along, trucks are key in transporting the products between the various steps.
Over these many years, we've become increasingly efficient in synchronizing production, transportation, and delivery. Everything hinges on a rational, orderly, predictable, and somewhat accurate ability to forecast demand.
Perfected algorithms calculate the inventory at warehouses and grocery stores. Retailers typically carry a 26-day inventory of products.
When we're not dealing with a national crisis or a natural disaster, then the heavy focus is on trying to make sure that we have inventories that meet the needs of the consumers, but that we don't get too much inventory and we create waste.
According to the United States Department of Agriculture, 30 to 40% of food is wasted annually. That corresponds to around 133 billion pounds, worth $161 billion.
We're deeply concerned both by the alarming levels of spread and severity.
On March 11, 2020, less than 2 months after the first American tested positive for COVID-19, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak was a pandemic.
That COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
At the same time, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, recommended people keep a 14-day supply of essentials like food. That led to panicked consumers rushing to grocery stores, quickly emptying aisle after aisle. For the 1-week period ending March 21st, water sales increased by nearly 100%, dried bean sales increased by more than 200%, and fresh meat alternatives by more than 400% when compared to the same time last year.
People are buying much more than they need, and that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you go buy more than what you need, the next person who comes in also doesn't find that much food on the stock, and then they start panicking, wondering if overall we'll run out of food.
In a post on its website, the Food and Drug Administration said there are no nationwide shortages of food. Food production and manufacturing are widely dispersed throughout the United States, and no widespread disruptions have been reported in the supply chain.
On a macro level, we're not eating more, we're not producing less, and we're not kind of shipping less or have any bottlenecks along the way. What we are experiencing is, at a micro level, a little bit shift in the patterns of how people buy food. In cities, people are going out less to restaurants and eating more at home, which means the distribution centers need to target their supplies more towards grocery store and household consumption channels than commercial channels. People might want to go to stores less often, but buy more in one go.
Still, on March 15th, President Trump held a call with dozens of grocery, retail, and food industry leaders to discuss hoarding and the safety of the supply chain.
What manufacturers are doing, working with their retail partners, is they're looking for ways to create efficiencies within that supply chain. And what that means is they might be looking at products that are slower moving, like scents and flavors and pack sizes that might not have the velocity that these core SKUs have. Some are choosing to suspend those for a period of time. We have a number of product manufacturers that have put retailers on allocation. They want to make sure that they get distribution of their goods across the country. Similarly, retailers are putting allocations on customers.
Other measures include shorter store hours to allow workers time to restock. And Amazon announced its plan to hire 100,000 warehouse and delivery workers. As many experts have consistently stated, running out of food is unlikely. The US is a food surplus country with a waste problem rather than a shortage. Besides, people aren't eating more, they're just changing habits. Normally, Americans spend 54% of their total food expenditure away from home. During social distancing and restaurant closures, that has changed. But there are potential challenges ahead. On March 24th, a group of congressmen and women wrote a letter to the largest retailers in the country, asking that they remain open and not increase prices for at least 60 days.
This is not a time to take advantage of the consumer. We encourage consumers to reach out to their state's attorney general if they see something that they think is price gouging.
Daryl Peel is a livestock marketing expert. He says that while meat sales at the grocery stores have increased by 77%, the supply chain will adjust quickly because there's plenty of meat available.
If we were to have significant labor disruptions as a result of the disease, that could be a more significant problem in terms of actually disrupting our ability to maintain production.
Labor disruptions are a real concern. Several in-store and warehouse employees at Kroger, Amazon, and other companies have tested positive for the coronavirus. Additionally, travel limitations could hurt imports of food. For example, the U.S. imports $26 billion worth of agricultural products from Mexico. Canceled flights from other continents could also hurt imports of food, for example, berries, that are often transported at the bottom of passenger flights.
I think we're going to struggle to accommodate this, once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon that can't be fully understood or forecasted yet. There's a tremendous amount of suspense in the behavior of not only this disease, but the behavior of consumers in responding to it.
It's not that we've never dealt with a disaster before. Because this is a virus, there are some new protocols. We are rewriting the playbook on a daily basis.
While the grocery aisles adjust, there are some bigger concerns.
If we come out of this later, David, there's going to be 3 retailers in this country. There's going to be Amazon, there's going to be Walmart, there's going to be Costco.
As a recession becomes a likely reality, analysts warn this could hurt smaller grocers. That would make some larger players even stronger.